Hey, Nadia.
Hello.
So I have a topic that I want to bring up, but I think this may be a long conversation.
hmm
So maybe we'll break it up into a couple different episodes.
Okay.
But it's an important one, and it's one that could bring up some uncomfortable moments. Are you ready?
I guess so, yes.
Birth control.
hmm
Are you ready to talk about birth control with me?
Yes.
Okay. The the topic was inspired. This is where I want to start. The topic was inspired by another parent friend of mine
hmm
who is the father of a son, and he has a very easy, comfortable relationship with his son where they can speak openly about a lot of things,
hmm
including birth control and I think sex life in general.
Uh,
Um, and this father was expressing concern because his son is has a girlfriend. They're sexually
hmm
active. They're having penetrative intercourse, and they the son is responsible for the birth control because
hmm
the daughter. Um,
You mean his girlfriend?
yeah, sorry, because that would be sketchy. The son is responsible for the birth control because the son's girlfriend is not
hmm
able to speak about her sex life and the need for birth control pills with her parents.
hmm
Um, and I know that you and I have had a previous conversation about just like the facts, like the need for birth control.
hmm
And I think there's a whole range of how much a parent might speak to their child about sex in general.
hmm
And this friend of mine, the dad, he feels like the parents should be the number one person that the child should be able to talk to about all their questions related to sex. And
Right.
I just kind of felt differently about it. I
Yeah.
felt like I want my children to be able to talk to
hmm
me when something is needed, but I don't really feel like I don't need to be the number one source of information regarding
hmm
sex education and birth control. I'm
Right.
wondering what you think about that.
Well, I guess like we have I guess I would call it like a guy like we have an open relationship. I feel like I can talk to you about a lot of things, but topics like that are a little bit more, I don't know, it's hard to bring up. I don't
Why is
know.
it hard
I
to bring
feel
up?
like it's just an awkward conversation that you don't always want to have with your parents. I think like thinking about it right now, maybe it's like a difference between like girls and boys like and sex in general. Um I don't know. I feel like it's more normalized for guys to just be having sex and girl like I don't know. Even though that's not like the case for everyone.
Like it's
Um,
more accepted
yeah,
that like it's like less maybe it's easy to talk about boys having sex, males having
right.
sex because it's more like socially acceptable. Like
Yeah.
it's like less shameful or something like that.
It almost feels like, wait, how old are they?
Late teens,
Okay.
and to clarify, this father feels comfortable speaking to his daughters about their sex life
Yeah.
also, and the mother also feels comfortable speaking to both her sons and her daughters about it too. They have actively
Mhm.
chosen to be sex positive.
Right.
Um, yeah, so I guess is that the ideal? Like, do you feel like a
I
sense
feel
of
like
loss because we don't have, dinner conversations about, I don't
I
know,
feel
the
like it
details?
really depends on like the way that you grow up. Because like if you're really used to being really open, of course you would always lean to your parents to ask questions like this. But I also feel like although we do have an open relationship for most things, like I can talk to like my friends about this, like my peers, and I feel like that's equally helpful and can give you the same amount of support in certain circumstances. Um,
Where
but
else do you guys?
yeah,
Where else do um, young women your age go to for information um, about all things related to sex? Like,
I would say friends or social media. I feel like a lot of my friends don't talk to their parents about this stuff. Not like whether or not there's like something to talk about. Like it's just not. It's an awkward conversation that is easier to just avoid. And I don't know. I'm not really sure if there are ways to get around not asking for your parents for birth control, but I feel like people would choose to go that way instead of having to ask. And a lot of times, like girls when they're younger will go on birth control for like different reasons, like acne, and now it's kind of like, oh, like it's okay. Like I'm glad I'm on it now because now I don't have to ask when I actually need it. You know what I
mhm.
mean?
Yeah.
But you know, it's different for everybody.
I remember we had a conversation when you were in high school.
Mhm.
you you asking for birth control pills because it seemed like a standard. Like
Mhm.
everybody was on it for multiple reasons, whether it was to control their flow or to for acne or um, to decrease other symptoms related um, to their period.
Right.
You felt like it was pretty standard.
I feel like at the time, yes, and it still is now. A lot of my friends are on birth control, and I do have the birth control pills, but I never started taking them because I didn't need it, and because of like the circumstances of when I was gonna first take it was like a year ago, like literally a year ago. And I was in Greece, and I was really sick, so it like didn't seem like the right time. And then now, like I haven't started taking it later because I didn't need it, and I don't know. I feel like while the pill is like super standard, there are other options that are just like a little bit less. Like I don't want to have to remember to take it every day, you know?
Hmm. Do your friends is there any concern about taking a daily medication that's hormone related? Like, is anybody worried about side effects or anything like that?
Um, for the people that are just have been taking it, I feel like no, it's just normalized now. They've been taking it for at least a few months, so their body's gotten used to it. I do have a friend that stopped taking it because it it helped with like the period part because that's why she first started taking it, and then all the other symptoms like were heightened and increased, and she didn't really realize until after she stopped taking it. So I don't know, there's definitely like a right and wrong choice for everybody, but you kind of have to just try it out.
Is there a feeling about regarding using birth control pills for the
Mm-hmm.
purpose of preventing pregnancy? Do
Mm-hmm.
you feel like between male and female partners that someone is more responsible for making sure that birth control is in place?
I feel like for like condoms and stuff for that, I mean, in the situation you were talking about before, I feel like if you're dating a guy, like they should buy it. I don't know. That feels like their responsibility. If the girl wants to buy birth control or take birth control, that's on them. But um, I don't know. It can't be all on one person. So I understand kind of wanting like the girlfriend to talk to their parents or her parents. But in college, I feel like I've just heard, I don't know. It really depends on the person and whether or not they're in a relationship or not. Because I feel like when you're in a relationship, it's easier to talk to someone about that kind of stuff. But
Like your
if
partner, you mean?
yeah, but if you're
Mhm.
not in like a relationship with the person, then comes a question like, I mean, in many instances, just like talking with friends and stuff, it's like the guy ends up not wanting to use birth control. So if the girl is on birth control, then I at least you have that. But like,
So that
I
does
feel like
happen. Like a guy
yeah,
will be like, I don't want to use a condom.
yeah, which is like honestly
What do they
disrespectful. Like,
propose? What do they propose? Like, is the option of not using the condom? Like, is it, I don't want to use a condom, so we're not going to have sex? Or I don't
no,
want to use
it's
a
like
condom, so
yeah. So like, I don't really. I mean, I'm not a guy, but like, I just don't understand why you wouldn't want to use it. Doesn't really. I don't know, especially if you're not in a relationship with that person, because that just can lead to a lot of other things on both sides. So I don't
disease and
know.
pregnancy.
Yeah. And also, like, you're making the other person uncomfortable, like, if they wanted to use it, but, it's just, I feel like it should be a standard.
So, no, I want to dig into this more. They don't want, they just like want to refuse to use a condom. So, what is their proposal? Like, let's just not have intercourse, or let's pull out, or let's just give
I
it a
feel
shot.
like,
Where are you on your cycle? Like, what are their options?
uh, I feel like guys in college know nothing about period cycles, so that's just out of the question. Like they wouldn't even I don't think they wouldn't understand even if you explained it to them like what that means. But and even I don't really understand it. Like I don't know whatever. Like it's a I know it's a cycle, but I don't know the specific parts of it. But I think it's both, which is just interesting the way
It's
that they
really
think about
interesting. I
things
can't
because they're
imagine.
not affected by the if you get pregnant or if you're scared that you're pregnant, like that's not really on them. So,
What would they, how do you think it would be received if a guy and a girl were hooking up?
mhm.
They're not in a relationship. And then the guy doesn't have a condom, but the girl does. She happened to bring it with her to a party just in
Uh-huh.
case. Do you think
Uh-huh.
they'd be like, what? Do you just always have this on you? Or
I mean, it really depends. I don't know. It really depends on the person. I feel like in the best case scenario, you're gonna like as a guy and the girl has the condom and you don't, like you should take that as like, oh, thank goodness, like, you know? But it depends on the person.
yeah, I am still like shook from the from that thought that a
I
guy would just
honestly,
refuse. That is really interesting.
right?
Um, Real
I
quick
honestly
before we
think
go.
like
Oh, go ahead.
no, I just think it's like whether or not you like respect girls. It's just really interesting the way that they think about it. But yeah. What were you gonna say?
I had this conversation with a bunch of people that are on my age
Mhm.
this weekend, and it was whether or not there exists consent apps. Like, are those actually being used? One of the parents I was talking about was saying that her child um, and somebody that she met that night, they both recorded themselves saying, like, "This is my name. I
Oh.
consent to this." Like, does that actually happen, or
Uh
is that like one-off situations?
I would say that's like one-off situations. I don't really hear about that happening. I mean, hopefully like consent is given on both sides, but in certain circumstances it's not really like that's not what people's first response is to like let's take a video of this. of
Right.
us
And
like
the other
consenting, you
another
know?
parent brought up like, okay, so maybe they consented at that moment, but then maybe it went to a place where they didn't consent anymore. Like
Right.
now
Right.
you have this like video that says that you consented to
Mhm.
something, but not maybe whatever that person was hoping it would lead
Right.
towards.
Right. So it's definitely like hard situation. You kind of just have to hope that the person like you're with is like going to respect your boundaries and stuff, which is not always the case, unfortunately. But
Mhm.
I don't know.
All right. I think we covered a lot in just like 20 minutes, and I'm left with other questions, but maybe we'll do it in another episode. I'm
We can do
thinking
a
since
part two.
you hmm?
So we can do a part two.
Hmm. I'm thinking since like the one thing that you were not aware of was the cycle,
Mm,
maybe we should bring somebody in to like explain that.
yeah, probably.
Mhm.
It's pretty important.
I mean, it's good to know. It's kind of like a hard method to follow
Hmm.
as far as
Yeah,
preventing pregnancy.
yeah. I feel like
Um,
it's more used for when you want to get pregnant, but
yeah, yeah. All right. Nice
okay.
talking to you.
Nice talking to you too.
Okay, done with the awkward conversation. Bye.
Goodbye.